right, you guys, welcome in to another week of Blueprint for Peak Performance. Ask Me Anything. This is Brandy Smith. I am the founder of Perfect 10 Physical Therapy and Performance Training, as well as Perfect 10 PT Academy, online courses for parents, coaches, and athletes. Those of you who don't know me, I'm a former two-time national champion collegiate gymnast. Um, and a physical therapist and performance coach. I work with athletes all the way from recreational, as young as our 3-month-olds in our Born to Move preschool curriculum that we do for gyms, 3 months to 5 years, all the way through all the rec kids, all the way up into Olympic and collegiate level athletes. And I deal with all different aspects of gymnastics, as well as people who just do crazy things with their body. They end up finding me. So this week, every week, we come in and either I talk, answer questions, or we have a specific topic. We talk all things performance, from mental toughness, nutrition, to prehab, rehab, biomechanics, jump mechanics, performance training, like stuff to make everything better and bigger and healthier. We talk the whole gamut of that, and sometimes it's with me, and other times it's with my colleagues that I meet all over the globe through USA Gymnastics and through my business, through my work, through my profession. So I'm excited. This week we have an open session. This is an open Q&A, which means you get to bring your questions to me and tell me kind of what's going on with you. So I know we have some parents in here and we have some coaches. We have parent 8-year-old daughter, platinum level. And I know we have another one of a college gymnast as well, and a few others coming in. So, what's on your minds? And we also have some coaches and owners that are doing all levels. So, tell me what's on your mind, and let's just kind of open up. I'd love to have a kind of discussion style. And then, of course, you can get me on a soapbox or a rant, and we'll rant for a little bit on, not in a, not in a bad way, but like help you guys with some solutions on whatever's going on. But I'd love to hear kind of what's going on, because we are now, well, depends on what part of the country you're in. I had some gyms that just are now entering their second week of summer. If you're here I'm in Texas, we are now into week 4 of summer. So we're well into summer. So summer training is different. Summer training comes with its own obstacles and its own things. And some of our athletes are already freaking out about freaking out about season coming, because some of them are, have season starting in December, some even starting in August. So, and then our trampolinists are getting ready for nationals, which is coming up in July. So tell me where you guys are at. I'll just go ahead and let you unmute and kind of tell me what's on your mind, what's been the struggle, what's the big thing going on.
Let's start easy.
Okay.
So for my 8-year-old, she's roughly, I couldn't even tell you how much she weighs.
Mhm.
Like protein. I feel like that's a really hard, I'll turn my screen on. Maybe. I feel like her eating protein is pretty hard. We travel an hour for practice. And so just kind of like I've done some protein powders, but is that safe for an 8-year-old? I've done like a couple uh, like boost type drinks, but she prefers like summer sausage, pepperonis, like fattier meats, which are not going to have the amount of protein she needs to recover or like build muscle as an 8-year-old. So just kind of some recommendations as far as like how much and what options to give her.
Um, how much does she weigh? So she's 8 years old, and how much does she weigh?
I don't know, 50 pounds? She's
50 pounds. Okay. So weighs 50 pounds. She's 8 years old, and she trains about how many hours a week?
mm, let's say 10. I
10
mean,
hours a week.
she's not practicing in the gym like with her coach for that. She's in there for like 6 or 7, but then her and I normally go on the weekends or
And
like
go do
do
something really
camp.
active. Yeah. Do
Yeah,
something.
well, we have access to our gym here in Norfolk.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so her and I usually go and just work on some stuff together.
Okay. Well, so in general, the recommendation is zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight for an active youth athlete. So zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.7 grams per pound of body weight. And so I will caveat, first of all, I have basic sports nutrition stuff through my undergrad, and I've had some continuing education into sports nutrition. So I am not a registered dietitian. We have two amazing registered dietitians that we refer to. One was just in here last week. So if you want to check her out on Instagram, Carrie Bear, that's with a K, Carrie Bear, Bair, and she is the Gymnast RD on Instagram. And then the other one is Christina Anderson, and she is the gymnast dot nutritionist, I believe, on Instagram. And so both of them have gymnastics experience. They have some awesome stuff on their Instagrams. Both of them have programs, one-on-ones where you work with them, but also some programs that are pre-recorded that you can self-pace and go through. So they both have really good stuff. Carrie was in here last week, and actually, if you're interested, I'll send you my number and you can text me. I can send you her link and the code for her promo for her summer bundle. So she has a summer special going on that's pretty awesome. And I've looked into that bundle and it's really, really well put together. Carrie's always adding stuff to it. So I caveat that because when you want to get really, really fine detailed or you're really, really struggling with nutrition, I definitely recommend that. Or you want to just dive down and you understand that nutrition is the foundational piece. Because this is a great time as a parent with an 8-year-old, right? Like that's a great time to really be focusing on it because between the ages of 8 and 12, they're really going to grow. Like you're going to have a growth spurt and another growth spurt, like almost back to back. And that growing period is the most challenging period because they, in many times in their mind, think they don't need to shift their diet, but they need to eat so much more as they're growing because they're using so many calories to grow on top of training, on top of recovering, on top of just the normal, like baseline stuff like organ function, cellular recovery, like normal brain function. All of those things are like your normal must need things. And then on top of that, you've got not just training, but and then you have recovery. But then on top of that, you have this huge growth spurt happening. So that being said, I caveat that because it is something to look into to work with those guys. They're really amazing. But just to give you some basic baseline information that I regularly use with athletes, is that so basically with her training about 10 hours a week, because also you have to look at how many hours they're working. 25 to 35 grams of protein per day is around what she would need nutritionally. Now, Carrie will talk to you about timing of that protein as well, because like 30 minutes to an hour before training, you want like an hour or so before you want some protein mixed in with it, like a normal size plate. But when you're getting closer to 30 minutes and during training sessions, you don't actually want protein. You don't want protein, you don't want fat, you want like simple carbs that will break down fast. So anything from like fruit snacks to, crackers to all these other things. Like a lot of people say like, that they want like ranch, like give them ranch and like veggies, right? That's actually not so good because the veggies have a lot of fiber that break down slow. It's not bad if you're going to be in the gym for like all day or something, but like for a 4-hour workout or a 2-hour or 3-hour workout, you're gonna not break down the fiber from the carrots and the celery, and then you've got, depending on what the ranch is made with, it's kind of usually got some good fat in it, right? And that's not going to break down during training. So you really want to look at during training having simple carbs. And Carrie and Christina have awesome, like just little quick Instagrams that show you what a plate could look like and those ideas of what are some good snack ideas during practice, what are some good snack ideas before. Carrie has what she calls a high performance plate or an athlete plate or high performance plate, but you'll see, and she breaks it down into colors and fat and protein and grains, I believe. And so she has a lot of different images that can show you where it needs to shift, that kind of thing, as far as quantity and when. Um, but as far as recovery, like the other thing that that definitely Carrie has said, and I had also learned this through Bill Sands as well in the past, um, when you're looking at recovery post workout, because that was one thing you said was like you're worried about recovery. Um, so when you're looking at recovery post workout, you want to make sure they get food in within the first 30 minutes to 45 minutes after workout. Um, but you want to make sure it's not all protein. So it was really interesting. So you have to have carbohydrates with that protein, or the protein won't, it won't get used. The body converts it basically into, like, I believe Carrie told me, sugar. And so it doesn't get used. So you have to make sure that when they're recovering, that they're mixing the protein with a carbohydrate. A simple carbohydrate is fine, but some kind of carbohydrate. So even just a sandwich, right? With lunch meat, cheese, and bread. Bread being the depending on, and maybe some pretzels, like just something simple that has um, carbohydrates in it, so that the protein from the meat, or maybe you have cheese in there too, right? Like that will get digested. And then there is no like wrong source at 8 years old. Like you said that she liked, what did you say were the protein sources that she likes?
She prefers like a summer sausage or pepperoni, salami.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with any of that. And you'd have to, now this is the part where Carrie has probably some of those things memorized. I can't tell you exactly without looking at the package, like how much, and I also have apps that I use, like
Yeah,
how much, like
protein. It is
offhand, yeah, how
huge.
much protein is in each one, or how many servings is, what's in a serving there.
Yeah.
But if you're concerned about adding protein there, you can add, and that's actually a great recovery if you look at it, protein and carbohydrates like crackers and summer sausage.
Yeah,
And you
like
can
the
even, if you're
little.
concerned about not enough protein, cheese, and then you can add a fruit to that to add a little more balance with the carbohydrate, like grapes or banana, or, strawberries. Like we're in summer, so strawberries are, well, I don't know where you guys are, but I'm in Texas, so strawberries and berries are in season right
Yeah.
now. So, um, does that help a little bit with recovery? The other thing is that, believe it or not, one of the easiest recovery things, and it was well studied by Bill Sands, is chocolate milk.
She doesn't like chocolate.
Bummer.
Doesn't like chocolate and doesn't like peanut butter. Or just
Doesn't like chocolate, doesn't like peanut butter. Yeah, the thing with chocolate milk is the chocolate part has antioxidants in it. That's why it's good for recovery. But you could just have milk.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and
She likes strawberry milk. We've just tried like a couple of
yeah,
different things to boost it.
yeah. So with the strawberry milk, so the strawberry flavoring, it's going to have some carbohydrates, some simple sugars in there with the protein.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to be beneficial for her. What was that? I feel like I'm missing one other piece to your question though. You said, oh, protein. You were asking about shakes and stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Protein powders. Is that something
protein powder
that
stuff.
youth can be having? Should I be like, are you familiar with certain brands or does it really matter?
Yeah, so every brand is not created equal. That's the first piece. I am familiar with some brands that I use and like to use with athletes, but I'll tell you exactly what every nutritionist I talk to says, and we all believe, is that we want to try to get as much as we can out of food first, and then a protein shake is a supplementary thing, right? So it's not in replacement of a snack, it's not in replacement of a meal. Um, these athletes, especially, but I have found, this is my personal experience with a lot of my athletes in the between the ages of especially 10 to 12, but even as young as 8, that we could not get in enough calories throughout the day, and they were sometimes too particular or picky with certain foods, and that I was like, you have got to get, we are in summer training and you're about to hit a growth spurt. You have got to get calories in. And I don't really care how you get them in. And even Carrie and Christina will both say that. Like, they don't really care where there's no bad calories at this age. There's no like, so even eating McDonald's is good because they're going to burn the fuel. So, it's all about just getting good calories in, and a lot of times we can be conscious, and yes, we want to make sure we're hitting our macros, which is protein, fat, and carbohydrates. Yes, we want to make sure we can hit our micros as best we can, right? Which obviously McDonald's is not going to hit your micros all the time, right? If that's all you eat. But eating McDonald's here or there, and I'm not a McDonald's person. I personally cannot eat McDonald's, but I have a lot of athletes that like have no problem, right? I'm in a different stage of life. And and so, that being also said, though, chips are not bad. And like, things that we say are like quote unquote junk food, it puts a bad connotation to it. So it's this idea actually that food is fuel, and that like the Lay's potato chips, right, that they might want, um, that it may not have all of the micros and macros that we need, right? So then can we have it, and like what's the and next to it, right? So there's nothing wrong with having little things that are not necessarily what we would call clean food, right? But if you try to feed an 8 to 12-year-old a clean diet who's training as an athlete, they won't meet their
Mhm.
caloric needs, the caloric demand. And then you're in relative energy deficiency in sport, and then you're in this spiral of injuries and low performance. They may, if they're lucky, just low performance, but usually it leads to an injury at some point, because they're not getting able to recover because they don't have enough fuel to do it all. And so then the body starts to pull like from muscles and bones, different things in order to try to recover because the calories are low. Um, but the same thing will happen if you don't get your micros in either. So there's a balance, I guess, is what I'm also trying to say. And you're hitting that age of 8 to 10 where they're going to start like wanting things that, like, as a parent, you might like, but it's not, can't you just have apple and peanut butter, or apple and this? And, what about yogurt and that? Um, so I guess what I can say as far as like not getting into the power struggle about it is that it's okay that they have things that are not considered clean, because they're going to burn it off no matter what, because it's just fuel. It's just fuel coming in. But it's always great to say, with that, can we also have this? And so I like to practice the and, especially with gymnasts, because they tend to not. We know that the last study that was put out by the Olympic Training Center was, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe three now. They found that 90% of athletes were relatively energy deficient in sport. So I like the word and
Yeah.
when it comes to nutrition. You want potato chips? Awesome. Can you have that? And then maybe depending on where they are in the day, before training, after training, you add more protein, or you add more carbohydrates, or you add like maybe you add a fruit with their Lay's potato chips, or you add there are all kinds of cool dips you can make that are protein packed, and like you can do, even having bean dip with the Lay's is going to give you some protein and fat in it, um, compared to, just eating the Lay's. And they're also going to get more calories in there, right? You can even make homemade ranch dip with specific yogurts, right? We have this brand that's local here that's got a really, really good yogurt, and it's really high in probiotics and low in sugar, which is good for some of us, but would not matter for a young athlete. um, as long as you're not feeding them a ton of sugar, right? Because there are these, absolutes, right? Where it's like, well, we don't want more than, I believe it's 100 or 150. I might be in the wrong age range right now, milligrams of sugar a day. Um, that's not like, and you want most of that to come from natural sugar, like fruit, right? Um, so as far as protein shakes go, I have found though that sometimes, especially with picky eaters and with my athletes who are in this massive growth phase, that mom's trying to feed them as much as possible, and they're trying to eat till the cows come home, but they're still low on energy, and they're still struggling in practice. And it's like, or they're still coming straight home from practice and they're raiding the pantry immediately, and they're going straight to like either the chips or the candy. Like they're going straight to the sweets. And those are signs of someone who's underfueled. It means that they went into training underfueled, and then they burned everything through, and their body is just starving for quick energy. And so when they grab the sweets, it's just a quick energy source. That's all. And so it just means when you start seeing that and you see that your kid is either, there's two different parts of the growth spurt. There's the filling in and then the growing up, right? You've already noticed this many
Yep.
times. She's 8 already,
With my
right?
other kids,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So when you're seeing her eating and she's filling in, or she's in that big process where all of a sudden she's just shooting up, and she's raiding the pantry, you just start, that's when you want to go, okay, what can we add? And so that's when you kind of start looking at, can you add a side here? Can you add a, like, example, my daughter was trying to get more calories in her, so I just threw chia seeds and she needed more. She was struggling. She was easy to get carbs for her. That's not a big deal, but for her was fat and protein. So on her eggs in the morning, I threw in a tablespoon of chia seed and scrambled them, and then told her that it's pepper. And then put some pepper on there. So it's pepper, taste of pepper. And then, so we got to get sneaky a little bit sometimes. And then threw cheese on top of it, right?
Yeah.
And then I gave her some fruit to the side.
Yeah.
And another option would also be to like throw some yogurt with that so that you can get some protein and added protein and fat in there. Um, it's just like, can we add something? Like, can you take two more bites before we leave the table? What else would you like as a side, right? Like, um, or can you add a sauce to that or a dip? My daughter went through a phase when she was younger. I think she was probably from like 6 to 9, where she just loved dips. And so I would create a lot of things that could be dipped in things. And she would create dips from like our yogurt that we had. That was one thing I'd have her mix with dips. And then I even would let her, she would just make dips from all kinds of other sauces that come in a, container, and mix them up together. And again, some of us, when we're older, might be like, well, I don't want to have barbecue sauce on everything or ketchup, or that's like too many calories for whatever age. For this age, dip away, dip, dip, dip away. They need the calories, they need the fuel, right? Um, so it's kind of a shift from our thought process as an adult parent who's on a different dietary need, right? Like I'm not training gymnastics, I'm not needing that many calories a day. Um, so let's see, hold on, let's see what I wanted to see exactly. I think it's like 2,300, but calories. Yeah, let's see what it comes up with. Um, oh, it didn't show up. Uh, mm, yeah. Yeah, I was on the high end. Yeah, so like 1,600 to 2,200 is based on her weight and her age, is around how many calories she would need, right? Um, and I say that because that's a lot more than you might think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's where the just keep saying and so that being said, though, I don't have a problem with, and this is something though where Carrie and some of the other nutritionists, they'll guard it. They'll try as hard as they can to get as much in with food. But I don't have a problem with giving an athlete during a growth spurt like this where I can't, and mom's like, I'm trying, I'm feeding her, and like she just can't eat more. Like sometimes it's a complaint that like the stomach is too full, or they just won't slow down to eat, or the other complaint has been they're really picky and it's been hard to get enough calories in. And so not as a supplement, but or yeah, not as a replacement, but as an addition, right, to your normal diet and food. I do use protein shakes with kids. Often I will use Design for Health has a really great paleo meal protein that I like. And then there's also Vega One has a good protein shake along with greens in it. So it's a good mix with carbohydrates as well. But both of them are really good. Thorne Laboratories has a good protein mix. It just doesn't have the best taste. So
Yeah.
to
Basically.
take you have to take the Thorne and put it in a smoothie, like in order to make it taste good.
Yeah. She's a
Um,
huge vanilla fan. So
yeah.
I haven't found the perfect vanilla.
Mm. Paleo Design for Health, Paleo Meal has a good vanilla. Um, what else? Vega One is a decent vanilla. It's a good vanilla too. You can get so the Design for Health is a functional. So these are how to say this, medical grade or functional medicine grade supplements, which means that they've been third party tested. And some of them even have what's called NSF Sports Safety Certified, which is important if you're going to be drug tested. Um, I don't necessarily give that to everyone because not all, most of the, so Design for Health has a product line that's been NSF certified, and Thorne has most of their, has also a product line that's been NSF certified. But they haven't, they did it, how do I say it? They have to pay a lot of money to do that. So they don't do it to all their products, but they do test all their products the same with a third party lab to make sure that what they say is in there, to make sure how much they say is in there, and that it's, you know, safe, right? That there's no added things. Because there are a lot of companies that got in trouble because it's not FDA, supplements are not FDA regulated. So you have to be very careful with supplements because they're not FDA regulated. There have been many companies, Walgreens, Centrum, Gold, was it Gold's? What's it called? GNC, not Gold's, GNC. And there was another big company like that that all got sued a while back because they found they had their products tested and they found that they had additives that were not listed on the ingredients list. And they also, some of them did not even have things that they said was supposed to be in there. And so, so just be careful. There are companies like Pure Encapsulation, companies I use or trust. Pure Encapsulations, Design for Health, Thorne Laboratories, Therapeutic Integratives, Integrative Therapeutics. What is my other companies I use? I'm trying to
Not
think.
against starting with.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh gosh, my brain just went blank on some of the other companies right now. But those are the main ones that I like to use. Design for Health has some good protein shakes. You can look into Pure Encapsulations as well. I also caution you on ordering supplements on Amazon. Um, all of those companies have now put themselves on Amazon because people were black market selling products with their labels on it that weren't necessarily theirs. So they wanted to take control of that. But the hard part is some supplements, protein shakes, not so much, but other supplements need to be in regulated temperature environments. And there's no control over that with, and I'm in Texas. So like there's definitely no control once they hit the Amazon truck and however long they're on those trucks from wherever they're going. So, so I always order, I'm a provider. There are other providers too that carry various products. I always recommend finding, you know, like that, or there's some pharmacies in local areas. We typically what they call a compounding pharmacy, which means that they make their own medicine there. They typically have a wellness department that carries Pure Encapsulations, Integrative Laboratories, Thorne, and Design for Health, almost always. So that's something you can look into if you're looking for somewhere local, because they're what's like I am a provider for those companies, and when they provide, that means that they get the supplies, the supplements directly from the company. There's no a lot of hands off. Now that's not to be said that I haven't personally ordered things from Amazon. When I'm in a pinch and I need it by Prime, but I just you have to do it, you know, like and but if you're doing something regular and you have the ability, I would find a good compounding pharmacy near you or a medical provider, either nutritionist, physical therapists, chiropractors can also become providers, doctors, functional medicine doctors. All of us can carry these different products that way. If you really need some and you want to talk, you can talk to me as well. I always sell stuff 20% off of retail because it's a big markup. Personally, Carla can attest to that. She's gotten stuff, but again, you want to try to get as much as you can through food, but you are hitting that age where it's going to be sometimes hard, and especially when they sometimes get picky. But it's again not in replacement. Yes, Carla, what were you gonna say? Oh, she unmuted maybe on accident.
Oh, no, I'm good. Um, I don't, I'm kind of coaching in and out, so
That's okay.
hearing
No
a little
worries.
bit. What I did for my teenage son was anything that had like a cream of mushroom base or cream of chicken, I blended cottage cheese and threw it in there. And instead of regular chicken broth, we always did bone broth, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they had no idea.
Yeah.
And Greek yogurt instead of sour cream.
Mhm.
So those three things always went in um, to our crock pot meals and all of that kind of thing. Oop, did you hear me? Did I unmute myself?
Yeah, no, you did great. Yeah, you did great. That's exactly that's exactly what yeah, there's all kinds of fun substitutes. I wanted to see if I can get you I have a really cool recipe for what I call hoy balls because I made them so my alma mater is Texas Women's University. Oh, I don't need that. I need to be on the drive. One second. I'm gonna see if I can share it onto my screen and I'll see if I can drop it to you. Um, but we call them hoy balls because they, Texas Women's University, our big thing was called hoy, which is unity in Czech. And so, anyways, they used to make puppy chow. That was like the tradition when I was in college there was to make puppy chow for travel meets, which is like a bunch of sugar and a bunch of carbohydrates and it's like powdered sugar and there's some peanut butter and some chocolate in there and Chex Mix and but it's just like a lot of sugar and a lot of like simple carbohydrates and that was our travel food which is like no protein no fat like we were already low in it I look back and I was like oh my god what were we doing um let me see how do I copy link bummer I'm gonna have to send it oh wait hold on I can share it I think I can share it hold on I want to send there we go. Okay, I'll be able to open it up and then I can, I think hopefully copy the link. Um, okay, yeah. So I can screen share this. So anyway, when I went and worked with the team for some things, I brought these, I actually made them and they love them and I gave them the recipe so that they could hopefully change their tradition to something better. So hoy balls have a lot of protein and good healthy omegas in them. And they also have oats in them, so they have some carbohydrates as well. So it's a great way to slip in some calories and all of those things. But it's just so it's like rolled oats, ground flaxseed. It has to be ground, right? Flaxseed has to be ground. You can throw in hemp seed. Oh gosh, I need to take this one out. So the brewer's yeast, that was for hormonal regulation. That's for older kids. That's not, I have another version of this. So you don't need the brewer's yeast. That is great for hormonal regulation for when they're get older. And then you can throw in dark chocolate chips or you can throw in cranberries. You can use any nut butter. So she doesn't like peanut butter, but you could use almond or cashew or even sunflower butter. Um, and then coconut oil, honey, and vanilla. And then I also, which is why I didn't, instead of the brewer's yeast, I threw in chia seed. So you can substitute ground flax with chia seed, or you can put both in. I've made it with both. I've put half a cup of ground flax and half a cup of chia and a quarter cup of hemp seed. It just kind of packs it full of some good omegas, and you can make it in a you can make it in a big bowl and then you can ball it up and kind of keep it refrigerated so it stays solid, or at least not like hot, right? Because it'll the coconut oil will kind of it'll separate or get soft. Um, but then you can leave it in a bowl and they can just scoop out two bowls and off they go. And if I remember correctly, 2 to 3 balls is like 20 grams of protein, something like that. It's quite a bit of protein and fat in there. And so yeah, it's a fun little easy way. Okay, I can copy that. I'll drop the link in. I know this is a version that has the not the hemp, the brewer's yeast. But again, brewer's yeast was for hormonal balance, which is only for like teens and up. The younger kids don't need that. So you can just take it out and put chia seed. I would put chia seed in, period. So I think this was just a second round. But yeah, give that a try. It's just another way to throw in something. But I'm with Carla on just finding some substitutes that work for you, like added, not so, like added substitutes. So we did the same thing, Carla, the bone broth. And again, I was talking about our local company that we have that makes yogurt here. It's I use that instead. We never have sour cream. We always have that, and then we throw it in anything that's creamy possible. I like your cream of mushroom soup idea, Carla, as well. It's another idea. And then I love to throw chia in all kinds of things because chia is high in omegas. And you can throw it in, most people think of throwing it in things that are sweet and salty, like granola or cereals and things like that. But I love to throw it in like spaghetti or even soups or in the egg scramble, just because they don't even know it's there. They have no idea that's even there. You can even throw it in casseroles, and like casseroles are great ways to hide things, like to hide extra vegetables or to hide, increased meat sources. Like if you're wanting to do different meats for increased protein kind of thing. So yeah, I would always try to like hide and add. But yeah, as far as protein shakes as an addition, those are kind of the brands that I like to use. Vega One you can get at most grocery stores. That's the reason I also threw that in for you, especially Whole Foods. Designed for Health and Pure Encapsulations, Thorne, those you have to go to like a compounding pharmacy or provider to get. But that's a good thing because they're third party tested. So, I hope that helps. Did I answer your question, Haley? Is there any other questions around that?
No, that was good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question. I'm glad you hopped in. What that was the other piece. I do want to wrap up with the idea that is really important to be looking at nutrition for our athletes, period. But especially in these growth phases, because their nutritional needs change kind of quickly. And so you kind of have to keep an eye on when they're like starving or they're running to the pantry or you notice that their sweet intake takes in, because that's telling you that they're lacking calories somewhere and they probably just need more something. That's when you start adding extras. Guacamole. That's another way. So I was thinking about that. My daughter loves avocados, and sometimes just having the little guacamole that's pre-made already in the little packages is convenient for traveling. But also we can make some here, and so just adding guacamole to things like even a good snack is chips and guacamole. It's good omegas and fat with her with some carbohydrates in there. So that's a good snack as well. And we can sometimes use guacamole with all kinds of dipping. Anything that dips. Throw the guacamole on there. Yeah, that's another thing we add. Bean dips, guacamole, anything that dips. That was another additional thing we did. Also fruit dips, using the Greek yogurt or the yogurt that our company makes here is a Bulgarian yogurt, which is very similar to Greek, but a little different. But Greek or Bulgarian yogurt, you can mix with different flavors and create, like I've even mixed it with strawberries or mixed it with cacao for chocolate or mixed it with blueberries. You can mix it, with whatever you can think of to make dips for your fruit or even veggies, depending on, like, you can mix it. And that's where, like, my daughter likes to make ranch powder with the Greek yogurt, and now you have a dip with your sometimes with crackers or even a bagel and vegetables. Yeah. So hopefully that gives you a few ideas. What else is on y'all's mind today? I'm gonna wonder if Carla's coaching, she might end up letting you take the show, Haley.
Aches
fine.
and pains.
Oh,
Sorry, what were you say, Carla?
Aches and pains.
Aches and pains for
Oh,
you or for your coach, for your
no,
athlete?
my kids, yes.
What's
Like,
going on? You're muted. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, what's going on with the aches and pains? When you say aches and pains, like what kind of aches and pains? And is it just now starting? How many weeks are you into summer up there in Michigan?
This is our first week.
Oh, y'all are only first weekend. Okay. That's what I'm saying. It felt like up north, y'all are just now getting out.
Yeah. Well, they got out last, I don't know, like June 12th, something like that.
Texas is out before Memorial Day, man. Most of us, most of us. Okay, so you're 1 week into summer, and what aches and pains are happening? What's the deal?
They just, I don't even know. They all have different aches and pains. So it's just hard to,
Does it seem like it's increased this last week or two, or what does it feel like? What's the pattern right now?
no, I would actually say, they had probably more energy on Monday, but then they were sore and they were sore yesterday. So, um, no, it's just kind of been just them. So I hopefully here in the summer they usually get a little better than when they're like towards the end or when they're in school. But
Well, that's what I was
just
asking. Like, did it start towards the end of school, like the last 2 weeks of school?
no, they're no.
Did it start during season?
I'm gonna say they just kind of have aches and pains all the time. They're just kind of at the age where it's like they land and they're like, oh, and,
What? Hold on. What age?
um 13, 14.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple pieces to that. One is we know that 13, 14-year-olds are dramatic. Are they not, Carla? Are yours very drama driven?
Oh yes.
Yeah. So one thing is attention, right? But here's the thing. Where attention goes, my energy flows, right? So where attention goes, my energy flows. And where my energy flows is what I materialize in this world. So what I'm saying is sometimes the dramatic tween teen, oh, that really hurt, like, you know, they get reactions. It's like a dog with a squeak toy, right? Like if the toy doesn't make any noise, most dogs, not all, like if they like the feeling of it, it'd be different. But like most dogs, if the toy doesn't make any noise, they kind of move on, right? But if the toy keeps squeaking, squeak, 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 they don't stop. They keep going. And so part of it, I'm not saying that they don't have pains and aches and that now is a good recovery time, right? Like, so there is that piece. But Carly, you were in here when we talked about that, right? So for those of you who are just now tuning in, we've already had previous conversations about how the end of school year is really hard. Everything's happening at once. The kids have like 1,000 different activities. The end of the year, this, the end of the year, that, the choir concert, the band thing, the da da da. Parents are running everywhere. Everyone is stressed to the ninth about everything. And alarm systems basically they went up, down, and then they went up for season. They're on their way down when they got another hit of, oh, wait, into school year. And so they haven't got a chance to calm down. And during that time, it is very likely that they're going to have a lot of aches and pains and or lack motivation in the gym because their alarm system is just full. Like it's like there's just nothing, there's no room left. And so when the alarm system's elevated, we feel things sooner. We have aches and pains, old injuries, like old injury sites start to hurt, and we don't even know why. There's a whole neuroscience behind that. And we've already talked about that. So that's on my YouTube if you guys are tuning in on the recordings. You're welcome to check that out. Perfect, the number 10 PT. So I don't want to go down that path. But Carla, I know you've been working with these guys on all this, and y'all are into the first week of summer. And so there still may some carryover of settling out the alarm systems post the end of school year, right? And letting them come in, which we talked about the training periodization before, where the first 1 to 2 weeks of summer really needs to just be a lot of fun movement and exercise. Conditioning can be fun, but making it fun. And we've talked about games and other things you can do with that. We've talked about that in another session before. But you're transitioning into this. and then taking into, because we're all human, so it's complex. So taking that one other piece, so I'm just want those who are tuning in, I'm saying there are other pieces to this, but taking that one other piece is that you have teens and tweens who get a lot of energy and a lot of information and a lot of excitement from drama. And so, and the reason I say this is because I've had a lot of tweens, and I loved, Carla, how you explained it, was that every time they land, they go, oh. And I also have had tweens that when they go to get up, they're like, oh, when they get up. And I'm like, are you 80? Like, I'm like, what's going on? Like, you're 12, 13, 14. Like, why are you acting like you're 80 years old? So Carla, fill me in before I go down this path. Is that sort of the way they're acting? They're like, oh, and they're like kind of moaning when they're getting up and down, and they're doing all the, oh, this is so, oh, my body when they land. Are they doing that? And is it become a thing where most of them are doing it in the group?
Yeah, so I've got some that are like the grunters, and then I got some that are like on the floor that I'm like, you got to get up off the floor. They hold everything up with their butts, or they're sitting on. So
Yeah.
yes, and it's one of those things where like parents don't realize that you're dealing with that, but then they're like, well, what level are they? Well, let's talk about what their summer skills are. Let's talk about this. And thinking, yeah, I just wanted to be able to do the regular stuff
without moaning and groaning.
Yeah.
So I'm going to challenge you, Carla. So this was the one piece I kind of alluded to, but I'm not gonna go diving deep down into it. But there is more to come at some point when I'm ready about these tween years, right? And like, what can we do to help coach them through this and make it the most successful for them and for us, where we're not expending out energy and going, they're just moaning more, right? So number one, I know, Carla, like that you're not like overtraining them. I've known Carla for a long time. So it's not, that piece. You're not like killing them and just beating them down over and over. That's not what's happening. That I can speak to truth of. But we go back to the dog and the squeak toy, right? Like, where attention goes, energy flows. So if I'm coaching and Sally jumps off the beam, lands, and kind of, you think she should land pretty normal. The kid just finished plyometrics and jumping or whatever. She's got strong legs. And she crumbles to the floor and goes, oh, my ankles. Oh. And then you're like, oh, no, are you okay? And it's the first time she's done it, maybe. But then you start realizing that she does it every landing. And then you start going, is there something wrong? And da da da. And then, but you notice that, she seems to have no problem jumping off to the floor, or when her friends are on the other side of the gym and it's time for whatever, she jumps off the block, lands on her feet, and runs straight to snack. And again, we're talking about the tween age, and we're talking about also maybe they just go to get up and they're like, oh, and they're just moaning. And then one of the teammates next to them goes, oh, I know, me too. Oh, and they all start moaning. So the question first asked is, why are you moaning? And if there really is something going on, of course, get it looked out. I mean, that's important, right? However, when they don't know they're moaning, so I have worked with tweens and teens who have done this enough that they don't even know they're moaning. And I'm like, it's really interesting, because I'm like, what are they actually telling their brain when they moan every time they go to get up? And it's like they're kind of telling their brain that something's not safe or it's not okay. And so it's an interesting like spiral of keeping themselves in moaning. But here's the hard part as a coach and a parent. How do I define if there's something wrong and they need to go get care? Or how do I define that they're moaning for the drama of it? And so I think there's some of it you can easily see. There are massive drama queens who make it very dramatic, and you're like, oh, of course, that is drama that they're doing. So it might be clear. It might be clear if you know the athlete. So always first rule out, was there an injury? Is something bothering you? Do we need to go get care? And then Of course, if they point, and we've talked about this before, if they point on a joint, in a joint, they point specifically on like a growth plate, like so there are growth plates here and there's a growth plate here, and they're pointing on bones. So if they're pointing on bones, they're pointing in a joint, they're pointing on a tendon. I'm just showing them my wrist, but like they're like, it hurts right here. You know, when they're pointing like that, when they're like, oh, everything hurts, right? When they can't be specific, when it's not specific on a skill or a thing, like, you know, like it's like every time I do a bridge, it hurts right here, you know, it's like, okay, that is likely something that's not normal, needs to be seen, right? However, there are these kids that are just moaning and groaning all the time. And part of it is becomes a habit. One is it becomes a habit. Two is that they get something out of it. So no one, we are all human and we all do things to get something out of it. And in short, where attention goes, energy flows. Where energy flows creates more of something, right? Materializes something. So as a coach, if I have a bunch of girls that we've determined that there's no injury and they're not hurting themselves and we're not doing anything crazy, and we know that we don't overtrain them, which I already know, Carla, that you don't. The next question is, what are they getting from moaning? And if they're getting my goat and they're pushing my button and I react, then I've become the squeaky toy. And they're the dog just going squeak, 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 squeak. And so what we can do is not put our energy towards the negative of their moaning. Because this is the hard part about coaching, is whatever I put my energy towards, I'm going to get more of. So if I'm putting more energy towards stop moaning, get off the ground, they're going to keep doing it and it's not conscious. A lot of it's unconscious. It's just the need for connection. So behind it is they want a deep connection with someone. They want a deep connection with their teammates. They want a deep connection with the coach, right? And so if we can ignore negative or behaviors that we don't want and then highly reward behaviors that we do want, we can promote them to send all of our attention towards what we want to create, right? Which is an athlete who lands well, gets up, moves on to the next thing. They're not moaning and groaning the whole time, right? And so one way to do this would be, you can do things like you can notice or acknowledge them. I notice that you fell to the floor. You look like you might be tired. And then they can say, no, I'm not tired. And you go, okay, well, I loved how and then you find something before the fall, before the moaning that you loved, even if you just loved it this much. You find anything. I loved how you came to the event on time today. You did such a great job of being responsible and independent today and came to Beam on time. I love that you really knocked out your leap pass today and did such a great job. So you shift, even if it has nothing to do with what they're doing right then, you shift towards something that's positive that you want them to do again. You want to recreate. And so you withdraw your energy when they do things that are negative or counterproductive or counter towards what we're looking for, right? And then you put lots of energy towards when they do things right. So, but the hard part as a human, because we're wired, we've talked about this before, we're wired to look for the negativity. We're wired to protect ourselves, which means I'm always looking for when things are not in alignment. We have to actually spend time, and this is the harder part as a coach and a parent, we have to spend time looking at what they're doing well. Even if it's like, you got up. Even if it's like, I loved how quickly you got up. Or like any little thing that you can find, you say, good job. and not just good job, but like, because it has to be deeper than that. Good job. And then you insert, I love how you did blank. It really showed me blank. And the what the blank on the blank that they did, like maybe they had their legs straight, maybe they worked really hard. You look towards effort, and then you want to insert the values that you want to grow in your gym. So like I loved how so maybe they fell and we don't like that they fell and they don't like that they fell. So then we say, yeah, but I loved how you got back up and you did three more. I really see how perseverant you are being. And so what you're doing is you're instilling that, yes, we're not happy that they fell 10 times, but they got back up and they did one and they hit. And you go, I love that you got back up. And so instead of like focusing on they fell 10 times, why did you fall? How come you fell? Da, 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 da. Why are you moaning when you fall? Right? Because if I'm doing it as a game, I might fall just to moan. Like possibly, depending on where I am in my tweenness and my teenness and my hormones and how much deep connection I need, right? And how much attention and we say attention, but it's deeper than attention that they want as humans. All of us want it. Um, but it's like, okay, they fell, and instead of focusing on that they fell and moaned, instead focused on, I love how you got back up and how perseverant you are because I love that you did this. So you're acknowledging that you saw them do something, which gives them a deep connection. And then you're instilling perseverance, which is one of your character traits you want to build out of your athletes. So you try to help and but you have to do this over and over until it starts to break because what break down the bell. So we've talked about Carla before, Pavlov's law. And what happens, and this is what I tested some athletes with this, but they're and they're moaning, they're that was actually one of their bells. They had created a bell every time they got off the floor. And they created a bell every time they fell or landed with where they were unconsciously just saying, oh. And it became their bell with Pavlov's law, dog food bell, dog food bell. I'm sorry, dog food salivate, dog food salivate, dog food salivate bell, dog food salivate bell. Take away the food, dog bell salivated. So what happens is they have like created a bell around the sounds that they make, and then now it's a habit. And then, sometimes when they want to perform, they can't because they've fallen off so many times or they ugged and owed so many times. So you're helping them retrain the bell by only giving the bell, which is now going to be your praise, right? Only giving your energy and your praise when they do positive things, things that are wanted. And now positive things doesn't mean that they hit and they're perfect. It means you find the positive in whatever they did, announce it, and acknowledge that, hey, I saw you did this. It really shows me that you're perseverant or you're respectful or you're responsible or what else? What other traits you might want to, build in your gym? Respectful, responsible, perseverant, dedicated, determined, strong, healthy, positive. I saw that you were a great teammate, right? Like, does that formula make sense, Carla? Because what happens is if you put your energy, so even when they like do something that's counter what you want, and they see you make the verbal like, oh, they did it again. That's still energy going towards them on a behavior that's not one that you want. So you just completely draw your energy in and go to self-regulation. So go in and do your golden lotus breathing, do your own breath work, do your own self-talk, whatever it is for self-regulation. After you regulate yourself 10 to 13 seconds, then you turn around and you do the statement and you find something you liked out of something they did and only acknowledge that. You acknowledge what they did that was good, and then you turn around and take what it was that they did good that builds whatever character trait you want, whatever value you have at the gym. And play with it. It's a pretty powerful formula. I've been playing with it lately, and yeah. So does that make sense, Carla?
Yes, I do that. it's just one of those things where I think within the group between the ages of 12 and 15, everybody's going through trying to figure out where they fit in the news, and they're in I don't think they necessarily want my attention, but like you have like the class clown, or like, that's just
They
who
want
it
each
is, and
other's
everybody
attention.
laughs at it, and that kind of thing. So they're just trying to figure out where they fit in, and kind of what their roles are within their own team group. So
Yeah, so redirecting though, I mean, so as a team, but that's the thing. If you can really consistently redirect, and that's what the redirection is though, right? The redirection is an acknowledgement of something that they did positive, and you're redirecting them towards the positive, towards whatever it is. Your redirection, that your like character trait, might even be whatever your intention is for that rotation, right? Like maybe y'all all came to the rotation and the intention today was to be focused, right? And then you just talk about how focused that is. Um, the more you can, and also there may need to be consequences too, right? So it's not just one part. There's no attention towards negative behaviors, 150% attention towards what you want, the positive behaviors, and then um, consequences, right? So all three have to be in play at the same time. So you have to stay consistent with the consequence. Like the next kid that falls and moans and just rolls around on the floor for no reason and they're not injured, maybe there's a consequence, but be really clear with the consequence. It has to be clearly guided consequences that are consistently held. And then you consistently have to do the positive and negatives. No response for the negatives, and then 150% response towards the positives. This is all based on something called Nurturing Hearts Parenting. You can look it up. It's called Nurturing Hearts Parenting. And they actually have a book. There's a book. The title is a little rough, actually, but I think it's all just for sales. But it's Parenting the Difficult Child. And it talks about working with intense children or sensitive children, like their alarm systems are sensitive. And we have a lot of kids that are starting to fall into that section. So I found it really, really helpful. I can't remember who it's by. Let me look really quick. Actually, hold on a second. Let me look really quick. Okay. It's by so sorry, not parenting, transforming. I'm sorry. The title of the book is Transforming the Difficult Child, and it's by Howard Glasser, Glasser. And they have a version that was put out in 2023. So the newer version is better because there's some stuff in the older version that's, I don't know, a little difference, but it's shifting the intense child to new patterns of success, strengthening all children on the inside. So it's talking about how to help change behavioral patterns while strengthening them, right? Strengthening the child from the inside out. And it's all based on a lot of this neuroscience and neurodevelopmental stuff. So it's really interesting and intriguing. The foundation of it is that Pavlov's law stuff, but you have to be really consistent. So there's three main premises to it. One is no energy, zero energy towards negative behavior. Now, if there's a safety issue, you address it. That's not a problem. And that also doesn't mean you don't enforce a consequence. It means that you don't give your energy to it. You just say the consequence. You're just like, I don't know, what's a consequence you normally give them? Do they have a consequence for something when they misbehave in a rotation? What's a common consequence you give them, Carla?
I mean, it depends on what it is, but if
Okay,
they're
so
fooling around and things like that, then
yeah,
they
they're
have to
fooling
start
around.
over.
Okay, so if they're
Or,
fooling around, the consequence is what?
well, if they're fooling around on what they're like a specific skill or something like that, then they have to start over, or they have to go down a beam, or they have to, go to a safer, um, do their numbers on a different beam, a safer beam if I don't feel that they're
Being safe.
being safe, or, their lack of focus.
Okay. So then instead of like having energy and being frustrated with them, you just say, you give them the consequence with no energy. So for instance, I noticed that you fell off the beam playing, right? I noticed that you fell off the beam playing around. Our consequence for that is that you need to go to the medium beam and start over. And you walk away, right? And so you be really consistent with that criticism, with that consequence, but it's like no energy. Like it's just like a record player playing. And you don't give them your energy when you do it, but then you find that same athlete and you go intentionally while they're at training in that same workout time, find something that they did right. Something. And you follow it up with the positive energy towards what they did right. I love how you really got yourself together when you went to the medium beam and really focused. You brought that focus energy that we're really looking for in our team. Like you became that's a good leadership quality. Like maybe, something that you want. Like I loved how you did that. I'm really proud of you. I noticed that you, got yourself together and really focused on the medium beam. And that's really a leadership quality we want to see in our team. Good job. I really love it. I love it. Good job. Right? Like you try to but you put it in with like true energy. So you have to really start looking at it and you go like, I really love it. Like it's not like, oh, I love it. I love it. It's so good. No, you have to say like, I really love it. Like that was so good. That's exactly what we're looking for in our team, to have leaders, people who can flip from having a hard time to focusing. You did such a great job. I saw you have a hard time. I know you had to do the consequence, but you showed up, and I love how you focused, and I really loved how that is going to build our team. Like, so you really put forth the positive, right? So those three factors have to be together though. Often we find that we just do one, and often it's the consequence. And so you have to have the clear, consistent consequence, and you have to have no energy towards the negative behavior and 150% energy towards the positive behavior, and you acknowledge the positive behavior and what they've created. Um, and so just the thought, it's something to play with. Again, the information I just gave you was based on it's a parenting style called Nurturing Hearts. And you can start by, with a book called Transforming the Difficult Child. I don't like the title, so you have to be a little like, I think they just did that title for cells. It would not be a good title for one of your athletes or your kids to like read and go, oh my God, I'm a difficult child. They think there's something wrong with them. But what they talk about, and they define the difficult child in the book, that it's not difficult child. It's actually just difficult to parent or coach, right? Which means that it's just an intense child, like a strong-willed child, intense child, a sensitive child in the nervous system. And all of this, we have a lot of kids like that right now that we've talked a lot about that. And so so Transforming the Difficult Child by Howard Glasser. That's where those like three techniques come from. But something to look into, Carla. You can play with it. Again, it's really interesting how they preface it, because it's not that any one of those three things is not done. But they take you through like Pavlov's law, and they take you through this whole process of like why they have to all be done together and what that looks like from our perspective, like our energy systems, so that we're not giving away our energy in places that we don't desire, I guess. Kind of the best way to look at it. What do you think? I know none of it's rocket science. But it's really interesting how it's put all together.
No, I mean, I think it's good. I mean, I try to do that on in those manners, that kind of thing. But you can always be more conscious on all of it. And again, a 12 and a 15-year-old are in a little bit of a different state. You know what I mean? the 15-year-old can't really, trying to look back at like, yeah, you were just like that 12-year-old, I know she's probably driving you crazy right now, whatever, but you were just like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you have to, so trying to let them see, all those kind of things that, yeah, growing up is hard.
yeah. Growing up is hard. This is true. One other piece to it though is that you're modeling behaviors for the older kids also. So that they can also, because when the older kids are like, oh, she's driving me crazy. It's like, well, yeah, you can say like, you were once like that too. It's just part of the process. But you also can say, hey, why don't you give energy? What is something that you love about that person? Like you can even ask them, what's something you love about her from 5 minutes ago, right? Like, so the help her find the positive out of it. So you can
Oh
help
yeah,
that
we
help
had we
that
had
team.
that because it was one of those things where it's like, sometimes as they get older, their energy level is a little lower. And at 12, sometimes their energy level is still at a very good high. And, don't we love their energy? Like, absolutely love their energy. That's what keeps us, our group moving um, and, there's sometimes, they're funny and they're,
Yeah.
so they keep it interesting, and which is awesome. And every age has a amazing perks.
Yeah. And I mean, and so emphasizing that I love your energy I love the energy you're bringing to our team right now. That really helps us keep moving in practice. You're really being a good teammate by keeping us energized, right? Like, so there are ways to kind of reframe everything, but doing it with the teens that are annoyed by the younger ones and they're still in the same group, it'll help them also learn how to flip it and how to get I think one of the things Lisa Mitchell's been talking about is radical positivity, and so that's another way to look at it. But you're helping them learn how to flip it, and then everyone begins to put energy towards the behaviors that we all want as a group versus putting energy towards behaviors that are not as productive or helpful. So I hope that helps some today, Carla, and everyone else who tuned in. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, I'm glad. Thanks for that question, Carla. It's really a good one. And we're gonna sign off today. We'll be back next week. It'll be another open session, so bring your thoughts, and we can talk more about all the things. Thank you guys so much. Be sure to register for next week.